like you said, the minor league grind again. You're somebody, like you said, you stuck it out all the way till 28 again. That's a journey. I mean, that is a journey for sure. And everybody gets told at some point they can't play or whatever, and some guys kind of hang the cleats up on their own, because like you said, it's not a life that's, I have a lot of guys, I'm sure you see some of them, the guys that are on that grind right now, guys that played at South Carolina that, as recent as a couple of years ago and are currently in the middle of that minor league grind. And they talk about it, the day in, day out process and the bus rides and the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And it's not all this glory that when people think of, oh, you're a professional baseball player, it's like, well, not exactly. Yeah, but not. Right. But again, it definitely sounds like for you, I'll ask you this, what were your biggest takeaways and things that you learned that you feel like helped you the most, at that, when you finally did get the call? I feel like if nothing else, just having perspective and gratitude when you got the call, you're like, you're not going to waste a single moment or take a single day for granted when you finally get that chance.
Yeah. And that's it. That's a good, a piece of it. For me, it was just being able to play the game comfortable. Being able to go on the field and relax and have confidence and to just help the game slow down and knowing there's going to be ups and downs and so battling through it, I think I had a vision of playing in the big leagues. And so no matter what happened, as long as you keep that in your mind that's the goal, then you're going to fight through. Because if you focus day to day, on the games and the bus rides and the fact you don't have any money and you're eating peanut butter and jelly and it's a rough life. Then if you focus on the negatives, you're never going to make it. So you just have to know that the end result is what you're there for. And when I finally got the call, it was surreal. I mean, I would have never guessed in a million years how that would have played out and happened. But it was crazy. And luckily I didn't get married until I was 28, because some of the guys that were married, playing A-ball and AA is obviously it's an impossible life. Just being able to have the confidence and be comfortable on the field and just knowing it's a journey. And if you can just stick it out, and that's what I did. I mean, I stuck it out. Most guys would have quit, and sometimes I think I should have, but I'm like, shit, then I would have never made it. So if I had one coach tell me that as long as they'll give you that uniform, make them take it off of you. If you want to make it and have a shot, don't ever take it off until they take it from you. So that's kind of what I kept in my mind, and I did, and ended up getting 2 years in Cincinnati and going to Japan and playing with some unbelievable guys. And the stories I have and the people I met are what I remember most.
Yeah. Now, you name dropped earlier when you said Giambi and McGuire, and I just have to ask you, because you played professional baseball and you made the major leagues at a really interesting time. I think most of us watched the documentary with McGuire and Sosa and the home run chase, but you played during the steroid era. I'm just really curious. Was it the wild, wild west, like all the stories we hear? I mean, like, was it just like this wide open thing where dudes are, because I'm one of the people, I'll tell you this, man, I'm one of the people ask, do you believe that players from the steroid era should be in the Hall of Fame? And I'm like, well, you're putting the pitchers in there. And you can't pick and choose guys. And I think, it's just an era of baseball. And I think the commissioner and everybody should just embrace it, acknowledge it. I think Roger Clemens, Bond, I think they should all be in. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It happened, whatever. We got through it. Heck, it improved the popularity of the game, if you want to be honest. But, like, what was that era of baseball like? Because, again, it was a lot different. It was something that eventually, they took action against. But I mean, the home run numbers were going crazy. Again, guys like McGuire, Sosa, Bonds were coming on. Like, was it as crazy and wild and as wide open as the stories we hear about?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's looking back on it. I mean, you see all that was going on, but at the time, all that every player was trying to do was get bigger, stronger, hit home runs, and go to GNC and buy creatine and protein shakes. But it wasn't that people were. I never saw one guy shoot steroids, in the locker room. Nobody ever talked about it much. Did a lot of guys take it? Yes, but I agree with you that the problem is there was just as many pitchers that came back throwing 94 that were throwing 88, or had an injury and all of a sudden recovered quicker. That are now in the Hall of Fame. And so it's too hard to pick and choose who took them, who didn't, because, I mean, I would probably say, I don't know, half, but it was a lot of guys. And you could tell some that would show up, one month and, they're a certain size. A month later, they got some acne on their face and, shoulders blown up. And, and I think the biggest thing it did was help guys recover. I mean, they got obviously stronger, but in a professional season, it's a lot of games. Your body gets worn down, and so it allowed him to recover and stay strong. And but no, it was all it was. I guess there were illegal drugs, but it wasn't banned. They didn't talk. I mean, they're like, hey, go get strong as you can, live in the weight room. And I got a picture when I signed with the A's. They took us to tour Oakland, and McGuire was there, and he had a shirt off with me. After the game, and he was tall, lean, skinny, and then we all know how he turned out. But all he was doing was what baseball told him to do: lift weights, get strong. Nobody knew they were talking about taking steroids, but it was it's too hard to look at. I'm like you to say, these guys should be in, when there's definitely guys that are in there that took steroids. But it was just part of the game, getting big and strong and hitting home runs. And, but it wasn't something that like, hey, let's go do steroids. It's illegal, but let's shoot up and cheat the game. Nobody was trying to cheat the game. I think everybody was just trying to be as good as they could get and be as strong as they can. And, but there were pitchers throwing to the hitters that were on them just as much.
Yeah. I mean, chicks dig the long ball, man. And I would say too, my argument always with like a guy like Barry Bonds is like, bro, if you can hit, you can hit. I mean, how many home runs would that have taken away? I mean, come on, the guy can hit. It's the best hitter ever.
Barry Bonds was a great hitter, and if he happened to take him, which we all probably think he did, it just took him to another stratosphere where balls that were fly balls were flying, 50 feet out of the stadium. But like Ken Griffey Jr., if he would have taken them, he would probably have numbers way better than anybody else because he was always injured. But he didn't take him. He didn't go in the weight room much, and that's why I love watching him play because everything was just natural. But it was a different era, but it wasn't like Wild Wild West with guys in the locker room shooting up and right before we go out and hit BP.
Yeah, because they make it sound like that for sure.
No, I wish I would have taken him. I might be a millionaire. Boxing for a living.
For sure.